cue to get us going for the afternoon. The time has just gone at 4:30 in the afternoon, and it's Wednesday, the 27th of November, 2024, which means we are less than 30 days away from Christmas. For some of our young people who have joined here, some of you have completed a matric. If you have completed your exams, well done on reaching that stage of your journey in your life cycle. For those of you who are still busy, we want to wish you all of the best with the last couple of subjects that you might have to write. But all in all, we're grateful to have you this afternoon joining us for this information session regarding the Young Minds program for 2025. My name is Kevin Henderson, and I will be your pilot as I fly you through the rather ominous weather outside. I'm in Cape Town, and as you can imagine, the weather is not the best that we were hoping for. Also, I think our South African Proteas team, they were trying to play cricket out in Durban, but the weather also didn't play its part over there. And so hopefully by now, there has been some good news for the Proteas as they were trying to get a match going against Sri Lanka, I think would be their opponents. Just in terms of the agenda for this afternoon, I have already said welcome, but I'll very soon introduce you to the team that will support you on this program. And then I'll share an overview of what the Young Minds program is about. Hopefully, by doing that, you will be able or have some of your questions answered. But if not, there will be an opportunity later in the afternoon for Q&A. If you have any burning questions, whilst I also have planned for that session at the end, please do not hesitate to post some of your questions in the chat because my colleagues will keep an eye on that. And by doing that, they will be able to answer some of the questions before we reach the end of today's session. Once I'm done, I'm handing over to my channel director, Claire Kelly, who will talk to you around the program calendar and some practical arrangements for the program next year. And like I said, Claire will also deal with some frequently asked questions. So some of the questions that you might have burning, she hopefully will be answering in that time. But if not, there's always this last 10 to 15 minutes that we have set aside at the end of the session to just answer some of the questions you may have. We know that this platform can be very intimidating for some. And so if you're not comfortable speaking out aloud, please just put your question in the chat. However, we do appreciate those of you who have switched on the screens or the camera so that we can also have a sense of who the person is on the other side. So very welcome there, Jude. I see Sandy has disappeared into darkness over there, but hopefully Sandy will make herself or himself visible as well. I did say very welcome, but I think it is only fitting for me to say that welcome on behalf of our CEO, Dr. Chris van der Whuffen, who is unfortunately not with us in the room. But on behalf of Chris and our EXCO team, a great welcome and thank you for joining us today. I would like to introduce you to the team that will support the Young Minds program. And so if we can move to the next slide, you will see that I have on my slide, there's Samantha Abrahams, which will probably be the most important person, or if not the second most important person on the program with our young people. Samantha is the program manager, and she will also be assisting with some of the questions that you may ask later on during the session. So Samantha is what we call all things admin. And so if you have any administrative issue on the program, that Samantha will deal with that as well. While I'm talking about admin, I know that very often our youngsters apply with their parents' email address. And one of the difficulties that we often find, if you have done so, if you've put in an application, but you haven't used your own personal email address as a youngster, please make sure that you change that speedily so that when there's correspondence, that the correspondence go to the correct person. Very often it goes to your mom or dad, and then it never reaches you. But next to Samantha, oh, by the way, Samantha, if you can wave just there, your hand. There you go. She's waving as if she's doing the Mexican wave. Next to Samantha on my slide, I have Charmaine Mitchell, who is our client relations person. Charmaine, up till now, would have been dealing with most of the inquiries around the Young Minds program. But Charmaine sees through our clients, and she is very, very effective in her job. So also, Charmaine, very welcome. And if you can maybe just also salute our audience for this afternoon. Next to Charmaine, you'll find the amazing Claire Kelly, who is our channel director. You will hear more of Claire later on when she presents a part of this afternoon's program. But Claire, why don't you just also salute our audience? Thank you, Claire. She looks like a pilot with those headphones going there. So thank you for assisting me, being the co-pilot for this afternoon. And then myself, Kevin, I'm the proposal and design specialist. And what that simply means is that I take responsibility for ensuring that the content and the program speaks to where it itches for the young people. So I, on a yearly basis with my other colleagues, we take feedback from our participants, and then we try and incorporate the learnings from the previous year to try and enhance or improve the program. So that is my job, and I will be journeying with you this afternoon. Then last but not least on this slide is Ms. Amira Lewis, who is our program administrator. She supports Samantha, but for the initial part of the program, she is responsible for ensuring that your application gets processed and that you receive either a yay or nay via email, and ensure that you are properly invoiced, etc. So welcome, Amira, and maybe you can also just wave and say hi to our wonderful audience this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the team on the inside. But then there's a reason why this person has a whole slide for him. His name is JP Cronje, very soon to be called Dr. JP Cronje. JP is our learning process facilitator, and he journeys with the learners or the participants from the very first day that they arrive on campus until the last day that they exit the program. So he's not responsible for teaching all of the modules, but what he's responsible for is to support our learners by looking at how to integrate the content that they will receive from different faculty members, how to make sure that it lands properly for them, so that they have a sense of understanding, but more importantly, how do they apply that within their personal lives as well as their future professional lives as well. JP is an executive coach. He's in fact completed his PhD in that field of entrepreneurship, etc. But coaching is what he does as his bread and butter, and therefore he is very well equipped to be supporting our learners through the journey on the program next year. JP, since you're not going to necessarily have a speaking turn later on, why don't you just also say good afternoon instead of just waving, so that the people can hear your voice as well. Over to you, JP.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you in the room. And obviously, looking forward to working with your children or the students next year. They're not the kids anymore, they're students now. So we're excited to have them and looking forward. And thanks, Kevin, for the introduction.
You're welcome, my man. Thanks. And that will be JP. You'll hear a lot about him. Your young people will obviously speak a lot about him because they start to build a very, very intimate relationship or a close relationship in terms of how he will guide them through the journey. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the team that will support the young people for 2025. Allow me maybe just to quickly share where we fit the ecosystem of Stellenbosch University. And this is just done to sort of clarify that we all know we're on the same page. Stellenbosch University, as you know, is situated in Stellenbosch, a little town in the Boland. And like any other university, Stellenbosch University also have different faculties. And some of these faculties are hosted on what we call satellite campuses. For us, the most prominent of our satellite campuses would be the medical campus, which is situated at Tygerberg Hospital, and there's very good reason for that. We also have the military campus, which is, or the military school, which is on the West Coast in Langebaan. And then last but not least, we have the business school, which is also not on the main campus, but sits in a little town or a city called Bellville on a hill far away over there. And that is where the business school is situated. Now, the business school has two divisions. The one division is responsible for the degree programs, postgraduate programs. So MBAs and all of this, MPhils, etc. So they are the pure academic leg of the business school. But in the business school, we also have a second division, which is Stellenbosch Business School Executive Development. Now, as our colleagues from the previous division I was referring to, their responsibility is to see to the degree programs and postgraduate programs. Our responsibility is to develop short courses. Usually we develop them for working professionals, but the Young Minds program is one of our programs that we've developed specifically with the aim of working and assisting young people who still need to find their career, who still need to craft their own path in life. We want to support them as well. So when your youngster is registering with us, they are registering with the division responsible for short courses, which is what we are known as Stellenbosch Business School Executive Development. However, it's very important to understand that we are therefore not a Paluca organization. We are a legitimate and a very credible organization, as we are quality assured in terms of the content and in terms of the programs that we offer by Stellenbosch Business School, whilst at the same time, our youngsters, when they complete our program, they receive a certificate issued by Stellenbosch University. So ladies and gentlemen, that's just to sort of give you an indication of where we fit into the ecosystem of Stellenbosch University. Now that you know where we fit in, let's talk about the program that you are here this afternoon to listen to and get more information about. So the Young Minds program is a 9-month career-focused gap year program. So there's a couple of words there. So the first part is we're trying to have a program that will help youngsters to sort of explore what careers they possibly would like to follow. We do not want to lose sight of the fact that it is still a gap year for many youngsters. And that becomes quite difficult because usually people understand a gap year as I'm not doing anything. But literally what we're trying to help our youngsters with is to help them to take this time and really invest in themselves, interrogate themselves a little bit in terms of their future, do it in a manner that is not too overwhelming from a perspective of demand on their time, but gives them enough stretch so that they can reach for some dreams, etc. And so that is why we have the Young Minds program running over the 9-month period with the focus of its career focused. It's a gap year. And I'll tell you now what we include within the program. Just on the left-hand side of the screen, you will then see we will start the program running from the 11th of March, which will be when we start with our orientation program, and we will run until the 7th of November, 2025. Thank you, Chanel. You can move to the next slide. So, what is the program then? The program is a structured personal development program, and I've said it's a gap year program for young adults, school leavers, who are not sure what they want to do with their lives or their careers yet. So it's structured, and we believe that is what brings the value to our youngsters. So it's more than just saying I'll take a gap year. So it's a gap year, but it's a structured program focusing on their personal development, focusing on the areas which will help them to determine what they would like to do with the rest of their lives, especially those of them who are not sure of what they want to do as yet. Now, to achieve all of this, to achieve providing our youngsters with a structured program, one of the things that we felt is quite useful for our youngsters is that we want to give them almost an experience of being a university student. Hence, the location where the program will be running will be on our main campus in Stellenbosch. So you will remember earlier on, I've contextualized where we are situated as a business school, but for the Young Minds program, our focus is to run our program within our main campus, or on our main campus in Stellenbosch. And in fact, we use a venue right up in the Nielsee, and which has been proven to be quite a successful venue for us. What that means is it's central to getting to the Rooiplain, to the library, and it's quite accessible for most of our students who live in Stellenbosch as well. And there you can see a beautiful picture of the Rooiplain, which is an iconic picture of Stellenbosch University. So let's talk about what do we offer in the program. Like I said, over 9 months, we're going to offer the program predominantly as a face-to-face learning opportunity, which means that all the class sessions, in other words, if I need to call it traditional lectures, or the facilitated sessions will be facilitated on campus in an in-person modality. There will be some remote sessions as well, and that will be specifically towards the personal sessions where an individual will meet up with the learning process facilitator, or an individual will meet up with a coach. So those will be the remote sessions. And then they have to work in little groups as well, which we call syndicate teams. And so some of that teamwork will also happen within the remote modality, which means it's a live session, which will happen within the Zoom platform like we are doing right now. So the program then centers around 3 key areas. But before I speak about those 3 key areas, just some highlights of the program. Like I said before, this is certified by Stellenbosch University. We've had 14 years of presenting this program, and therefore more than 1,300 alumni that has sort of successfully completed our program. This program, the Young Minds program, is recommended by the university's career services. I've mentioned that it is a structured personal development program, but I think it's important to note that our approach to the program is that we follow a developmental approach, in that we will iteratively sort of progress through the program, and the youngsters won't just get everything right at the beginning of the program. So what does that mean in reality? In reality, we are aware that some of our parents especially are quite concerned about my child or my youngster need to figure out what they want to do with their lives. And so after maybe April, we normally get people calling and saying, this youngster doesn't know what they want to do yet. I'm saying now, we are aware that it might not be possible after a month of being with us for a youngster to exactly know what they want to do yet, as well as we, like I said, as the program is developmental, it's iterative, and over the period of the program, they grow to uncover, they grow to explore, and find their niche and find their space in terms of their life plans as well. It provides flexibility with some real-world exposure. One of the things that we are strongly encouraging our youngsters, for them to try and explore other things apart from just attending the program. To that extent, we run our program for 3 days, Monday to Wednesday in the mornings, to allow the youngsters to have time to explore other opportunities and other ways of figuring out what they want to do with the rest of their lives. We have an holistic approach of self-discovery, and we insist on real-world exploration, which is aligned with what I just said around giving them the time to do that. The aim of the program then also is to align their talents and their interests so that they can find some opportunities in life or in the environment that they can meaningfully explore as well. And like I said, it offers some free time for where they can actually do some meaningful activities as part of the exploration. We expect of them to take ownership and accountability for the program, and whilst we at the same time provides them with the necessary support, guidance, as well as a safety net to catch them when things are falling through the sieve as well. Thank you, Chanel. So the aim of the program, therefore, is to help these youngsters to create their own sense of direction and meaning in life by offering it through a structured personal development program wherein they will get to know themselves, they will explore the real world of work, and they will then learn to match their natural talents with the opportunities which they will have a better opportunity to see now. Because, by the way, these opportunities are always there, but it's sometimes difficult to see if you don't know who you or what you are about. And through that journey, they end the program that by completing the program at the end, and they will receive, like I've mentioned before, a certificate from Stellenbosch University, even though this is not a formal qualification per se, but they will complete the program at the end by getting the certificate of competence from Stellenbosch University. Thank you, Chanel. The program focuses on three major areas or developmental areas, which is personal mastery, business acumen, and entrepreneurial thinking. We love to follow an integrated learning approach where we use experienced faculty members that will come and facilitate the different modules to our youngsters. Now, that sort of sweet spot right in the middle of using these three learning areas, we're hoping that once the person has gone through these three learning areas or developmental areas, they will leave our program as an empowered individual, which means they have developed a personal vision, they have increased and developed an internal locus of control, they are more self-confident, they may have some entrepreneurial thinking, or their thinking has shifted towards that, which doesn't mean they're going to be an entrepreneur, it's just that they are thinking in a way that they are able to see opportunity and seize opportunity that may exist. And hopefully they would have learned some information around business acumen and also learned how to lead a balanced lifestyle without burning themselves out. We follow a dual pathway of teaching, which means that there's both theory and practical application, whereas the classroom-driven aspects will happen whereby our faculty will provide them with necessary frames of references, paradigms, and models, whilst JP, as the learning process facilitator, will see to how they can apply that knowledge, how they can apply those models, how they can apply those theories into self-organized projects, as well as the formalized projects that they will be working on. Our youngsters will be supported, like I've already mentioned, by our learning process facilitator, who will journey with them for the entire program. But at the same time, each youngster needs to complete 5 individual coaching sessions, which they will get with a life coach on a very personal level. And that is put in place to secure that we catch this youngster and support the youngster so that they can become an empowered individual at the end of the day. Thank you, Chanel. When I spoke about those 3 areas, those areas that I've referred to are then divided into or is made up of different modules. So amongst other, we have operations management and project management, emotional intelligence, innovation, presentation skills, the entrepreneurial process, looking at self-leadership and neuro leadership, career planning, personal branding, the whole sort of framework around thinking and paradigms or mental models. They're going to touch on some economics. They're going to learn how to work with people and how to operate within a team, whilst at the same time dealing with some principles of marketing and financial management. And one of the new modules that we have incorporated for this year is that we're also offering a module on e-commerce, which we believe is part of the future in preparing our youngsters to see where they would like to go with their lives. All of these modules culminate in 2 presentations at the end of the year. The one is they incorporate all of that knowledge and apply it in developing a life plan. And within their syndicate teams, they take that knowledge and they apply that in developing a business plan for a new business idea, which they will hopefully take further than just a business plan. And hopefully some of them will make this a reality as well. Thank you, Chanel. What we expect of them is, if you look at this Johari window, is that they will increase this public side, in other words, the side that's known to them as well as to others, by decreasing the hidden potential, by decreasing the blind side, and by decreasing the private side. So the private side will be decreasing as they reveal more about themselves. The blind side will decrease as they receive feedback. So feedback from their peers, feedback from faculty, feedback from the learning process facilitator, feedback from the coaches. And lastly, that hidden potential will be decreasing as through the coaching sessions, they will learn more about themselves, stuff that they weren't aware of and neither other people were not aware of. And hopefully by doing that, we would have improved or increased the public side for them as well. Thank you, Chanel. And then the next slide is just talking about the career planning canvas. So as part of the journey, they will be completing a canvas like that. And like I've mentioned, over time, they'll be populating this so that they can get out in terms of their career options. What are the opportunities that are there? And how can they explore those opportunities or seize the opportunity that may exist outside in the world for them? Thank you, Chanel. So, as I've mentioned, the program is that 9-month program, but these are the couple of things that we regard as part of that journey for them. They're going to kick it off by completing a psychometric assessment. The psychometric assessment is going to help them to look at their strengths. In fact, it's called the Strength Finder. They're also going to have to do, because this program is around competence, so they're going to have to do some assessments. In other words, evaluations of their work, which could either be an assignment, but it will also be some exams for them to write. So there will be 2 exams, but those are the assessments they will have to complete. Then they will also have to do some job shadowing. You will remember I referred to that earlier on when I spoke around meaningful activities. So even though we want to support them in that, we're not going to find those placements for them, but we're really more than willing to support them in finding opportunities where they can do that. And then last but not least, they have to complete those 5 life coaching sessions, and all of that include to work towards their life plan, their business plan, which will lead them to certify at the end of the program with a certificate from Stellenbosch University as well. Thank you, Chanel. Now, we've often gotten this question, like, what does this lead to for the youngster? Now, we have secured recognition of prior learning agreement with the university in the UK, which is the University of Lincoln. And should a youngster complete our Young Minds program successfully, the person would be able to qualify for some credits or get entry into the first year of a what they would like to call a foundational degree in the UK. And so that's one of the advantages of completing the Young Minds program. The condition are that they need to meet the language entry requirement. If you need more information around that, when you need something at the end of today's session, we will provide you an email address where you can contact Charmaine or Samantha or Amira, and they will provide you with information around that foundational degree in operations management from Lincoln University. So that's one option that we have available for our youngsters. Thank you. So in conclusion, the program is supported by the learning process facilitator and the coaches. I've mentioned that they need to complete 5 coaching sessions. From a world of work perspective, they need to do 20 notional hours, which they will have to write a report on for us. They have to pass all the assessments with a minimum of 50%. Unfortunately, we can't allow 30%. We have to get to the 50% because we're part of the university. And then attendance is compulsory for all activities. And activities include the coaching, it includes the life plans, it includes the group projects, and it includes all classes that they have to attend. If you are interested in applying, the applications are open at the moment. What the requirement is that the youngster need to get 55% for their prelim or their mid-year grade 12 results. There's no specific grade 12 subjects required. And then at the end of our session today, if you don't know where to get the application link, you can submit your details to us, and someone from the team will be in touch with you to help you get the link as well. So that is, in conclusion, what I have to do for now. So allow me, and I've seen some questions, but we'll deal with that later. So allow me to hand over to Claire, who will quickly take us through the schedule as well as some other frequently asked questions. Thank you, Claire.
Thank you so much, Kevin, and a good afternoon to all. I'm just going to quickly run through the preliminary schedule for next year. So we will kick off with orientation week from the 11th to the 14th of March. So this would be on campus. I see that it is in the chat where your classes will take place. And then we'll kick into the first learning period from the 17th to the 28th of March. We'll have a very short recess. And then we'll move over to our second learning period, which still falls into the first semester, which will be from the 7th of April to the 16th of May. And then there is another recess from the 29th of June to the 20th of July. We'll then go on to the 21st of July to the 5th of September. And we'll again have another short recess from the 6th to the 14th of September. And then kick into our last learning period, which will be the 4th. Sorry, that was just coming up, which will be from the 15th to the 15th of September to the 24th of October. And then our final period from the 3rd to the 5th of November. And then we will then happily go through to the certificate ceremony, which is in December. Just to also note, there'll be 2 exam weeks during the year, and there'll be 1 per semester. We also have a parent orientation session, which is on the 5th of March, where their parents would be, so we could just go through a few things with them, and that would be from 4:30 to 5:30, and it will be on the same platform that we're on right now via Zoom. Some frequently asked questions that we get quite a bit, so we thought we would just add it into the presentation, is no specific grade 12 subjects is required to enroll for the Young Minds program. And as mentioned by Kevin, a minimum of 55 for your mid-year, and then obviously your final grade 12 results in order to qualify for the program. Attendance of all activities and classes is compulsory. That is very important to note. And the program will take place on Stellenbosch University's campus. And as I said, it is in the chat exactly. It's in just above the Nielsie, and it's quite a nice place to be, quite nice and vibrant. So we're quite excited for that. Also to note that no credit exemption towards any Stellenbosch University undergraduate degrees. should you attend the Young Minds program. So our fees for 2025 is 61,574. This is excluding VAT. Should you want to take up the opportunity that we do have with Capitec, there would be the link in the chat today. And just finally, what is not included in the fees is travel, private accommodation, your laptop device and necessary software, as well as Wi-Fi and data. So there would be a few that would be needed, data requirements that would be needed in order for you to do some group work, as well as your individual coaching sessions as well. All right, I'll hand back to Kevin.
Thank you. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So that brings us to the last bit of this afternoon, just in terms of entertaining some of your questions and responding to them. Before we get into that, on the slide, you'll see the email address. If you need more information, you can contact, you can use that email address, and that's the number where you can also get hold of Charmaine as well. So without further ado, are there any questions that you need clarification on? So with your permission, I'm keeping an eye on the chat. I'm also going to invite my colleagues to just help with that, and we are willing to respond to any of the questions that you may have. How many students? Samantha, can I ask you to just give that number quickly, please? The question is, how many students we have in 2024? Sam?
Hi, Kevin. We cater for up to 100.
Okay. But just also thank you, Amira. Samantha just posted there 83 students we had for 2024. Okay. I didn't want to say the number because I didn't have the exact number in my head. Thanks, Sam. Like Amira says, we have space for up to 100 participants. We have opened our applications and we have had a reasonable, what's the Afrikaans word says, a stormloop. I don't know how you translate that into English, but there's been an influx, yeah, that's probably the better word, of applications in preparation for 2025. So if you are interested, I think that's a good thing to get your application rather sooner than later. In our previous session, there was a question around how does our selection work. So basically, the selection works as follows: first come, first serve. So if your youngster has applied and meet the criteria, if they are accepted, they will get accepted into the program. We don't go back and say, we have a student with higher grades and therefore let's rather take that one. That's really just a matter of first come, first serve. Okay. So there was another question somewhere. Oh, no. Okay. Any other questions? You must forgive me. I am noticing that my voice is beginning to act up. I think I'm just starting to go down with a little bit of a cold or something like that. So forgive me for that. Okay, at Sile, there are no online classes, but there are in-person classes and then remote classes like we are working now. So the lectures, the actual class time won't be remotely facilitated. It will be in person. There are also no recordings of those classes, but there are some sessions, like I've mentioned previously, the sessions that people will be remotely done will be the life plan sessions and some of the coaching sessions, as well as the group sessions remotely facilitated. Sandy, in line with your question, the students are able to participate within the private students organization. They are not able to play representative sport for Stellenbosch University. And the reason is simply they are not registered full-time degree students, therefore they are not able to represent the university in any way. There's a question that I've never seen before, and maybe Chanel Promote. I'm not sure if you would be able to do this. You might have more knowledge around the choir. There's a question around, are students able to sing in the choir? May I ask Catherine, are you referring to the university choir?
Kevin, I'll step in there. Hi, everyone.
Thank you, Kerry.
It's Kerry
Yeah, she's
speaking.
talking.
I think it's the same as the sports. So as far as I know, the choir is a club, so you can join the choir, but you may not be able to actually participate in any of the university represented choir competitions.
Okay. Thanks, Kerry. I hope that answers the question. You will also notice that Chanel Bowers just posted the contact person for sport, and then also how to contact the private student organization. So our students on the Young Minds program, they become part of the private students organization. So during the orientation week, we will have that organization come and introduce themselves to the students. They will discuss with the students what the advantages are of being part of that, what they are allowed to do, and all of those kind of things. So, but in the meantime, the student can also access that by going to that link that Chanel posted for us over there. Thank you. And there's another one. There's a question around payment. I am not sure. Amira, can you just talk to that one, please? Oh, okay, Samantha has already responded. Thank you, Sam. Just to highlight for everyone else who may not see the comment that Samantha posted, yes, there are no payment plans. We require full payment before the start of the program. And then if you do not have that, there is the option, and I think that detail was also shared and it's just been shared again regarding Capitec. So you can approach Capitec in terms of financing the program as well. Unfortunately, the program, you need to pay the full program fee before the person can join the program in March next year. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Is it Las Shires? It's just to say, the question is, should you complete the Young Minds program, are you then guaranteed a place in your chosen course of at Stellenbosch University the following year? Unfortunately, nothing that you complete on the Young Minds program will secure a place for you. But you will remember earlier on, I did mention that Stellenbosch University's career planning division recommend the scores very often. So there's no formal agreement that if your young staff completed the program, that the place is completed. But what I can say is it is being regarded in a very high light. And that's as far as I can say, but none of this is a guarantee. And you will have to understand why, because the learner or the participant must still meet all the criteria of that particular faculty to get into that particular faculty. Yeah, I hope that helps your question. Good. Yes, Atsile. In fact, next week, Tuesday, we will do the certificate ceremony for the 2024 cohort. The ceremony is also a virtual ceremony, so it's not an in-person ceremony. And I should have said earlier on with the certification, They will also receive an electronic certificate. So it's not a certificate, a hard copy of a certificate. But yes, there is a ceremony, and that usually happens once they've completed. Usually it's the first week of December. All right. It seems like our audience is a quiet audience. They prefer just to type. It seems like they're very fast typers. I can't type that fast. But I can read. Don't worry, I can read. It reminds me of what my children used to listen to. You can read, then you can succeed. When my kids were small. Catherine, I'm not sure if you are still going to complete your question, but it stopped at can we. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's a very good question, Catherine. And Catherine's question is that will the person develop knowledge around marketing, knowledge around how to run a business? And my short answer is yes, but maybe I'll ask JP to maybe give a little bit of input so that people have an understanding. JP is the person in the class all the time, and that's the aim of the program. But JP, do you mind to add something there?
No, not at all. I think, yeah, thanks, Catherine. Thanks for the question. Look, marketing is one of the subjects that we do cover under business acumen. So I think they've got 2 or 3 lectures with regards to marketing, where we expose them to marketing concepts. And furthermore, we also include marketing in terms of the exams as well as the assignments they do. So they'll have to apply some of the understanding or the knowledge that they pick up in class. So there's a combination of theory and practice, and marketing is definitely something they'll get exposure to. And then running a business, we don't have a subject per se that refers to running a business. But what we do is I think Kevin referred to it, there's a syndicate assignment where they have to develop a business plan, where they have to consider all the components of what's required to start a business. So by default, they would know what is the requirements to start a business, what are all the elements, and what are all the things you should consider when starting a business. And I think through that process, they get a better understanding of what it is to start and run a business. But furthermore, we do expose them to subjects like operations management, finance management, entrepreneurial thinking. So all those things will expose them to running or business management. But we don't have something specifically managing a business, but all the elements combined contribute to them having an understanding of what it is to start and manage a business.
Thanks,
I hope I answered
JP.
your question.
Yeah, thanks. Yes, and maybe just to add, so even though we sort of present those elements of running a business separately, JP's job is to help these youngsters to, how do we put it together now? And that is what he does throughout the year, so that they can come up with a meaningful plan at the end of the year in terms of the business plan as well. Yeah, so thanks. Atsile, can I maybe just ask one of my colleagues to sort of just post, I think there's, it's just around accommodation. So we don't help you find accommodation on campus. If the youngster is going to come and attend our program, if they're not from the Western Cape, it is recommended that they stay on campus. It's just easier. But like any other student, they have to go and find their own accommodation. And then my colleagues just posted a link for where they can find private accommodation. These are the options in Stellenbosch as well as the office in the NLC that you can contact and all of those kind of things. All right. So sorry about that, Atsila. I had to wait until JP finishes before I could respond to yours. Right. Good. I just want to keep on going there, and yeah, I don't see anything coming up anymore. But I think, has to say, this is the second information session. So we've had one about two weeks ago, and we're going to do one more. Chanel, can I just quickly ask you? We are doing one more. Hey, Chanel?
That's
you don't have to switch on your camera. Yeah.
That's fine. So that's correct. We will do it within the week that matric results come out. So that will assist with any last decisions that need to be made.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Chanel. And that also emphasizes why we are waiting quite a a longer period to allow youngsters, because once those results are out, that's when some of us realize, oh, I didn't make it to the university that I was hoping to go to. And so to give youngsters an opportunity to have something to do in the meantime while they're waiting on what they really want to go and do. We wait a little bit longer. Hence also the program is starting out in March. You can imagine that time of the year, it's quite frantic with people looking for place and for space and all of that. And we are trying to see that we are that solution to many youngsters who suddenly, because of what happened with the results, don't know what to do. And we're hoping that we can fulfill that little gap there for young people so that they can sort of progressively and actively work on their futures as well. Amira, there's a question for you. The closing date for the applications, and then when will they hear about success?
Thank you, Kevin. The closing date will be basically 2 weeks prior to the start of the program. You will get an answer within 24 to 48 hours. Thank you.
Thanks, Amira. Good. Right, ladies and gentlemen, sounds to me like that seems to be like the bulk of the questions that we were hoping to deal with. If there are nothing more, I maybe just want to say, if we could just say a huge thank you for attending this afternoon. And like I've mentioned, we're going to have another information session. Watch the space. If there are people that you are aware of that might be in a situation of uncertainty, it might be a good idea to introduce them to, and if you receive a link or an invitation, if you could forward it to some of those people as well, with the main aim of seeing how we can support and help youngsters that needs to make plans for the future. We really want to be the organization that takes that seriously and invest in our young people, as we continue to do since the last 14 years, for as long as the program has been running. And then, as you can see in the chat, if you have any further questions, please, you can contact Charmaine Mitchell. There is a contact detail. And like I said earlier on in the presentation, email address was also given, info@sbsed.com. You are free to do that. Thank you. On that note, then, I'm going to say thank you, and I'll hand it back to Chanel Remote, who's going to play us out.